All right, first grade, this is our last literacy lesson for this week. You have been doing so well. All right, you can probably tell from the board that we're going to be using our boxed paper. So get out the boxed paper that you used yesterday for writing your words. We're going to do the same thing that we did yesterday, where we wrote nonsense words and then we read them. And we're going to practice skipping a space, remember, because we always leave a clock space between words. And this helps us know about how big a clock space is, so we get used to leaving that correct spacing between our words. All right, so in the first box, I want you to write ah, oh, ooh. What are you going to write in the first box? Good. So talk through it while you write it, and then say the sounds at the end. All right. Next, I want you to write k, s. What are you going to write here? Good. K, s. All right. Find your starting spot. Talk through it as you write it. All right, that's our first word. So this third box, we're going to skip it. All right, in the next box, this fourth box, I want you to write g, j. What are you going to write? Good. All right, find your starting spot and talk through it as you write it. All right, in the next box, I want you to write a, ah. What are you going to write? Good. Find the starting spot. Talk through it as you write it. All right. In the next box, after your a, ah, I want you to write f. What are you going to write? Good. Now remember, that one has a different starting spot than our other clock stroke letters. So find that starting spot and write your f. All right, that's the end of our second word. So I want you to skip a space. All right, in the next box, I want you to write d. What are you going to write? Good, and where's the starting spot? Good, over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Don't start it anywhere else. Start it at the starting spot. Talk through it while you write it. Good. In the next box, after your d, I want you to write a, ah. What are you going to write? Good. A, ah. Find the starting spot and talk through it while you write it. All right, in the box after that, I want you to write s, z. What are you going to write? Good. Find the starting spot and talk through it while you write it. All right, so we should have that whole line of our box paper filled up. Now it's going to be kind of like you're going to be the teacher, remember? I'm going to ask what goes in the box and you tell me all the sounds of the phonogram that go in that box. So to help myself, if I were you, I would put my finger under the first box and then move it when we move to the next box to help me keep track of where I am. So put your finger under that first phonogram. What is it? Good, it's ah, o, oo. I'm gonna start all of these over a space and 2 on the clock. All right, what's next in the next box? Good, k, s. All right, that starts at 2. All right, that's my first word. We'll come back and read our words later. We'll keep going for now though. So since I'm finished with that word, I skip a space. What's in the next box? Good, g, j. Right, starting at 2 over a space. All right, what's next? Good, a, ah. All right, and what's after the a, ah? Good, it's f. And where does that start? Over a space just below the top baseline, touch 2 on the clock. All right, that's the end of that word. I'm gonna skip a space. What goes in that next box? Good, d. And where do I start my d? Good, over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. All right, what's in the next box? Good, a, ah. All right, and what's the last phonogram I told you to write? Good, it's s, z. So remember, that's a clock stroke letter. It starts over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. But then we go across the clock to 4, down and back to 8, and lift. S, z. All right, so make sure your words look like mine. All right, now when you were telling me what to write, you were telling me all of the sounds of each phonogram. Remember, some of these have more than one sound. Actually, there's only one here that only has one sound, which is this one. All of the rest of these have more than one sound, so you were telling me for this, write a, o, oo. But remember, when we're reading, our phonogram only ever makes one sound, and it usually makes its first sound. So we're going to read the words by saying the first sound for each of the phonograms, then we put them together to be a word. All right, so what's the first sound here? Good, aw. And how about here? Good, k. So we know our sounds are what? Good, aw, k. Now we just need to put them together to make the sound. So let's say them, and we'll make the space between the two sounds smaller and smaller until it's one word. All right, so we would say ah, k, ok, 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 ok. All right, let's go to our next word. Remember, we're going to say the first sound of each. So what's the first sound here? Good, g. How about here? Right, a. And here? All right, this is our one with only one sound. All right, so what are the sounds? Good, there, g, a, f. So now we just need to make the spaces between those letters smaller until it's all one word. G, a, f, g, a, g, a, gaff, gaff, gaff. All right, nice job. And let's go to our third word. Remember, we're going to say the first sound of each. What is this? Oh, I got mixed up. This one also only has one sound. All right. So what's the sound of this? Good. Right, good. So it's d. What's this? A. Good. S. So those are all the first sounds. So what are the sounds we're going to put together to make our word? Good. D, a, s, d. All right. Blend it with me. D, a, s, d, a, s, das, das, das. All right. Excellent job. First grade. I know it is a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work at the beginning of the year for us to be writing our letters beautifully and remembering all the sounds and working on our spelling and reading, but it is so important. So thank you so much for working really hard. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you in our lessons on Monday.